Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you'll have a wonderful Shabbos. It'll be wonderful seeing everyone in Shul over Shabbos, especially at the community dinner tonight. And of course, please stay warm and stay safe over the next couple of days. Today's Erev Shabbos video Dvar Torah is sponsored by Sharon and Merv Algie in memory of Merv's sister, Hillary Mafsowitz, Hilela Bas Tzvi Zechron Levracha, whose yahrzeit is observed on the 9th of Shabbat. Her neshama should have an aliyah. Her memory should be a blessing, and we thank Sharon and Merv for the sponsorship. We daven also today, as we do every week, that the week ahead should be a good week for the Jewish people, especially everyone in Israel, and continuing to daven for the return of the last murdered hostage, Ron Kavili. At the end of this week's parsha, the Torah commands several mitzvos that are meant to serve as memorials to always remember Yetzias Mitzrayim, the story of the Exodus, and in particular, it commands the mitzvah of tefillin. V'haya l'cha la'os al yadcha, and you should place it as a sign on your arm. U'lezikaron b'neinach, and as a memorial between your eyes on your head. Why here? In one place, the Torah gives an added reason. L'man tiyeh Torah Hashem b'ficha, so that the Torah of God will be in your mouth. What exactly does that mean? Presumably doesn't mean in a literal sense. You should wear tefillin so that the purpose is, and this is a purpose that is applicable to every Jew, so that the Torah of Hashem should be in your mouth. On the one hand, on a simple level, it seems to be trying to convey, in other words, the idea that the tefillin are meant to cause us to always have in our mind, that we should always be remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Torah in general, mitzvahs in general. It should be something that we never forget. It is constantly always on our mouths, on the tip of our tongue. The Netziv says, he explains this to mean that the power of the mitzvah of tefillin of a certain spiritual protection, to protect the person from having bad thoughts, anxiety, the desires that are placing us from the Yetzer Hara. If a person wears tefillin in the right way, they'll be protected, and they will only have Torah in their mouth. They won't be bothered by any negative forces. The Ramban writes, "L'mantia Torah Hashem b'ficha," means that a person is to wear Torah so that the Torah will be on the person's mouth, so that when they speak, even if they're not speaking words of Torah, they'll be guided by the Torah, how they speak, how they interact with people, that we will live Torah lives. However, the Gemara derives from this phrase a halacha. It says, from where do we know that tefillin and similarly a Torah or mezuzah must be written on parchment from the hide of a kosher animal? How do we know that you cannot write any of those holy objects on skin that comes from a not kosher animal, from a horse, from a pig, whatever it may be? You have to write on the skin from a deer, a goat, a cow, a calf, etc. How do we know that? The Gemara says, because it says Lamantia Torah Hashem beficha, so that the Torah will be in your mouth. Min hamutar beficha. You can only use that which is permitted to put in your mouth. And based on that, therefore, we know that Sefer Torah, tefillin, and mezuzah can only be written on the hide of a kosher animal. What is the connection between the simple meaning of the verse that the Torah is meant to be on our mouths, meant to guide us, meant to be what we're thinking about, and this technical and less straightforward reading of the Gemara, that this is the source that tefillin, a Torah, and mezuzah can only be written on the hide of a kosher animal? Rav Hirsch explains in his commentary on the Torah in a very ingenious way that these two ideas actually are totally complementary and parallel one to another. Hirsch writes, what is the idea that the hide, let's say, of a Torah must come from a kosher animal? He says, you may have thought that only the ink, which spells out the letters and words of the Torah, is the holy part of the Torah. The hide simply carries that. It is simply a vessel. It is the platform. It is the background. But since it is just the background, it does not have the holiness of the Torah, and therefore could come from even a not kosher animal. Therefore, this halacha is teaching that no, when the words of the Torah are written on parchment, the parchment itself becomes holy. The parchment itself is part of the Torah, and therefore the parchment itself must also come from a kosher animal. And similarly, what this pasuk is trying to convey is that tefillin, as just one example of all 613 mitzvos, it is not just that the mitzvos that we perform are holy. And it's not just that our bodies are the platforms for the Torah, that our bodies, our lives are the vessels that hold the Torah, but we are just humans, we are mortals, we are not holy, we can only bring forth holiness. No. The mitzvahs that we do are like the ink of the Torah, and it is written on us, and it transforms us. It transforms our bodies. We too become holy. The Torah is not just something that we do. It's not just something that we produce, but the Torah becomes connected to us. It becomes integrated into us. It can and is meant to change us and sanctify us. And just like not just the ink, but the parchment is holy, so too it is not just the words of Torah that we study or the mitzvahs that we perform, but we too are holy. Laman tiat Torah Hashem beficha. The message of the tefillin, which is the message of the entire Torah, is that the Torah is meant to go into our mouths. It is meant to go inside of us. It's not just something that we interact with. It's not just something that we do, but it is meant to permeate us, pervade us, penetrate inside of us. As one symbolic act, the study of the Torah goes into our mouths, and through that into our very beings. As the Torah will later say, Matya Torah Hashem, Beficha ubilvavcha. The Torah is meant to be in our mouths and in our hearts. The Torah is not just something that we do. It's not just something that we observe, that we must abide. But the Torah is something that we live, that we experience. The Torah is meant to become part of who we are. It is meant to change us and touch us, purify us, elevate us, change us into different people. It is meant to come inside of us. And according to our verse, that is the message of this phrase. L'man tiyeh Toras Hashem b'ficha. Good Shabbos, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.